On a warm Thursday morning in Lexington, Kentucky, a man named Marcus Tillman stepped into the Fairway Federal Bank with a calm that made him invisible to most until he wasn't. At 36, Marcus wasn't loud, wasn't flashy. He was the kind of man who held doors, looked people in the eye, and moved like someone who'd seen worse than a long line or a rude clerk. He had driven in from Richmond in his gray SUV, parking neatly across from the entrance. Inside his folder, a completed wire transfer form and the $10,000 he'd saved over months to help his younger sister Kiana begin her first semester at the University of Arizona. Books, housing, tuition she hadn't asked, but he didn't need her to. The bank was cool and sterile, the kind of place where even footsteps sounded rehearsed. Marcus approached the service desk, greeted the manager, a woman in her early 50s with a tidy pixie cut and a nameplate that read Linda Coulson. He handed her his card, his completed form, and explained where the money was going. "Arizona?" she asked, tone clipped. "That's quite a distance." He smiled politely. "Yes, my sister's starting college there." She took his documents, then asked for ID. Marcus gave her two, a Virginia driver's license and a federal contractor badge from his last cybersecurity job. She didn't thank him. Didn't smile. Instead, she turned, walked to her desk, and started whispering into the phone. He heard it, though she tried to hide it. Words like suspicious, out of state, clean, but too clean, and wire transfer. Marcus didn't argue. Didn't interrupt. He'd been in rooms full of tension before. This wasn't new. He just sat down in the lobby, hands folded, watching as people began to shift around him like he was radioactive. When the FBI agents arrived 10 minutes later, both white, in suits that didn't match the setting, they didn't ask the manager what was going on. They walked straight to Marcus. "Mr. Tillman," one of them said. "Would you mind stepping aside with us for a few questions?" Marcus stood slowly. "Sure," he replied. "But I'd like to know why." They didn't answer directly. They escorted him to a side office where he was questioned about the transaction, his ID, and his background. Marcus answered everything. Calm, clear, precise. "I work in cybersecurity," he said. "Former Navy sergeant. Now independent contractor." When the shorter agent opened a laptop and pulled up Marcus's federal file, the room went quiet. The man reading the screen, Agent Ward, blinked. "You were attached to Project Cascade in 2019? Marcus nodded. "I helped write the defensive protocols after the Texas grid scare." The agents exchanged looks. Then Agent Ward leaned back and let out a low breath. "Jesus," he muttered. "You're that Marcus Tillman." The interrogation ended without another question. When they returned to the lobby with Marcus, the tension in the room had thickened into something else entirely: shame. In full view of the bank staff and customers, Agent Ward turned to Marcus and gave him a salute. Not just a polite nod, a full, formal, respectful salute. Gasps followed. One woman dropped her checkbook. Linda Coulson froze behind her desk. Marcus didn't return the gesture. He simply looked at the agent and said, "You called me in for a wire transfer." He left without a word to Linda. He didn't yell. Didn't ask for justice. But someone had been filming the entire thing, a college student named Tessa who'd come in to deposit a summer paycheck. Her video, posted that afternoon, would ignite a national firestorm. The footage showed everything: the calm, the suspicion, the agents, the salute. And suddenly, the world wanted to know why a war veteran had been treated like a criminal for trying to help his sister go to school. Within days, Linda Coulson's name was trending. Her old post surfaced. So did a pattern of similar complaints at her branch, mostly involving people of color. She was placed on leave, then quietly dismissed. Marcus never issued a statement. The only thing he posted was a photo of Kiana holding up her textbooks with a caption, "She's ready." And just like that, a man who hadn't raised his voice shook the country. Not because he demanded attention, but because someone decided he didn't belong and the world finally saw who really didn't.